today. It's going to be an interesting topic today. I won't hold you long, but just long enough. So today we're going to talk about two different Masonic systems. Two different Masonic systems. So you might as well put your hat on. And you know what? And if you think I'm lying, if you believe that I'm not telling the truth, tell me you're lying, and then let us who disagree have a conversation. Don't just tell me that I'm telling a lie and I'm this and I'm that, and you don't want to have a conversation about the totality of what I'm saying. So today is going to be an interesting conversation. We're going to talk about two Masonic systems. And I know a lot of you sometimes say, why you always got to talk about that? And why you know why? Because a lot of people don't understand the true structure or how this Masonic atmosphere that we are saying that we are part of actually operate. A lot of us who I would consider just want to be Masons or someone who's part of the Masonic family per se, but you don't read, you don't study, you don't really get into what Masonry is all about. This is what you're going to get. You're not going to have an educated conversation because your emotions are too involved. This conversation is going to be dealt with a mature set of Masons, not those who choose to want to go back and forth. But let's look at the facts. What I'm about to talk about today, we're going to look at two Masonic systems, but I need for you to look at the facts on how each system operates. Now, these systems are called Freemasonry. It is called Freemason. Okay. One system, unlike the other system I'm going to talk about, is an predominantly Caucasian system of Freemasonry versus an African-American system of Freemasonry. And we're going to look at the layers because there are layers involved. And a lot of us who don't read and don't really get involved with understanding the system don't understand the layers that are there, okay? Because there are layers. And if you don't understand, and if you don't get involved and really begin to break down the system, you're just going to say, I'm a Freemason. I like it. You know, it's this and it's that. We do the barbecues. We do the fundraisers. We service the homeless in the community. Those are all great things. There's nothing wrong with it. Those are all great things. And both of these systems do that. Both systems, Black Freemasons predominantly and Caucasian Freemasons predominantly here in America, they both do that. They both support their communities. They do fundraisers. They have galleys. They do barbecues. They both do that. But there's another system at play within it. There's a whole nother system at play within that system that most of us don't look at. We don't consider how this system actually works. Now, you may have had some residual from that system. You may have benefited from it, but not really understanding how it operates. Now, in some of the old movies that I've seen, such as The King and I, such as Rosewood, and others, just to name a couple, and another one is Distinguished Gentleman, The Matrix. All of them allude to some type of inner structure when it comes to Freemasonry. All of them do, and especially the John Wick movie. The John Wick series deals nothing but with Freemasonry. I've really I've done myself some justice and really went and looked at the John Wick movies, and I can chop it up. I can tell you how it went from the first through the 33rd degree. That movie does that. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about how we who are Masons don't understand the very system that we're involved with, particularly African-American Masons. Now, some do. I can't put everybody in the same box. I refuse to do that. But some do. So greetings. How's it going? Is this PHA fam? This is Freemasonry fam. This is what this is. It's Freemasonry. It doesn't, I'm not going to distinguish whether it's Prince Hall or this or that. I'm not going to do that. This is Freemasonry. If you want to sit and watch and maybe even conversate, you're certainly welcome to do so. I'm not going to get into that one today. All right. Good afternoon. How you doing, Brother Lee Hall? You good? I appreciate it. Greetings. What's up, Mickey? How you doing, man? Simply American. All right. Appreciate you tuning in. So today we're going to talk about two distinct systems of Freemasonry. Let me get into this real quick. For one thing, white Freemasonry, unlike African American Freemasonry, are structured on a power system of networking. It is undergirded by high finances. They create generational wealth by initiating their own offspring into Freemasonry and also Greek societies like the Bones and Skulls, which is only at two colleges that I know of, and that's at Yale and Harvard University. These powerful individuals, men who are guided by preparing their offsprings, those who have been initiated, okay, they prepare them for these things. They prepare them for the position to rule, okay? Let me be clear. Now, it may not be like that today. I'm talking about this earlier phase of Freemasonry as we know it today. The earlier phase of Freemasonry as we know it today. I'm talking about the earlier. It may be still happening in some aspects, but I'm talking about the early guard of Freemasonry. What it did was it created generational wealth by initiating their offsprings into powerful Greek fraternities, Freemasonry, like the Skulls and Bones is another one that's at Yale and Harvard. And then what they did, they prepared them to be rulers. They didn't prepare them just to be servant and workers. They prepared those individuals at that time to be rulers. This is from my own reading and studies, because this is what you have to go and do. You have to go and look at the earlier stages of Freemasonry in this country. And when you begin to do that, then you can see how those who came and laid this foundation that most of us enjoy and like to have a good time with, how did they operate it? Let's take a look, for instance. 17 of the presidents of the United States were Masons. 17. I know everybody likes to say all of them. No, there are actually 17 that had there was actually 17 presidents of the United States that were Masons. Whether it was in the youth organization, whether it was an honorary degree, or whether they was just straight Masons who have been initiated, passed, and raised. 17 presidents. Then, not only that, you hear me what I'm saying? I said all of the Supreme Court justices were 33rd degree Masons at one time. All of them. You can look this up. This is not something you saying, this guy's crazy. No, look that up. All of the 33rd Supreme Court, all of the Supreme Court justices at one time were 33rd degree Masons. All of them. Now, with that being said, they set up their system in order to rule. They wanted to rule. It was all about power. It was all about continuing the wealth per se. Because if you look at most Caucasian Grand Lodges, their wealth, okay? Their buildings, their wealth, what they do, how they operate is a mirror of how African-American Masons should operate. But because of I'll come to that later, but because of how we are right now, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to tell you the reason why it's not going to happen. Instead of saying something it's not going to happen, I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen. And then I'm going to tell you how could it happen. The thing is, do you want it to happen? Plain and simple. But with that being said, when you look at the oligarchs in Freemasonry, hello, how you doing? Hey, sis, how you holding up? When you look at the oligarchs within the framework of Freemason, you begin to look at their wealth and how they got to be where they're at. Definitely, these organizations, as we know it today, played a role in it. Played a role in it. Especially if you're talking power. I mean, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about someone that can, what do you need type of thing. What do you need a ticket to get out of jail sort of thing. I'm talking about that. When you can pick up the phone and make a phone call and say, look, such and such and such and such. I'm talking about that type of power. And those individuals, those offsprings of Masons in the earlier days understood that. So yes, they weren't. That's why it was only at one time, in order to be a Mason, you had to either be it's not about being recommended. You was a brother, an uncle, or father. That was it. That was it. You had to be a man of substance, okay, at one time. And when I say substance, that means that you had the pull. You had the pull. Not only that, you had the wealth to back your pull. Okay, I'm talking about the earlier days in Masonry. It was all about the gentleman's organization. People like to talk about the stone masons and all that. No, let's drop that. Let's look at it for what it is right now, as it was in the earlier days in America history. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Because what we have done with Masonry, we've totally watered it down. I mean, those rites and ceremonies that was once so prevalent, once so honored, they're not honored or prevalent anymore. People just getting degrees like it's water. I want this degree, I want that degree. So they're just handing them out without understanding. A time ago, it meant something to be called or to be associated with Freemasonry. And not only that, it played against your detriment at one time in the earlier days of Freemasonry, because people did not always like Freemasons. They don't like us now. But what I'm saying is, in those earlier days and times, those people of substance, those people of wealth, those people who had that was in positions were mostly Masons. Go back and do your own research, and you'll see for yourself. And you have to understand, why did so many want to come through the doors of Freemasonry? What was that connection for them to come through and want to pursue this society, this brotherhood? I know a lot of people like to say Masonry is a fraternal. It's fraternal. It's a fraternity. And I see that from some aspects. I can get it. But Masonry is more so a society than a fraternity. Because when you're looking at the opening ceremonies to Freemason, it says, I think that is the junior warden position, where it says to keep peace and harmony, but more especially in hours, something like that. That's not quite quoted word for word, but it tells you of the society of Freemason. It doesn't say the fraternity, it says the society of Freemasonry. And what are the basic constructs of a society? Okay, and when you are able to see the basic constructs of society, then there's where you're going to find the true aspects of Freemasonry, because within it, Masons, those who understand it, can navigate it. A lot of us don't understand it. That's why so many people say, oh, you're low level. You ain't seen, you low level. And I get it why they say they low level, because they don't understand the gall. They don't understand the premises. A lot of brothers don't get it. A lot of African American brothers don't get it. And those who are a part of what we call mainstream Freemasonry, some of them don't get it. Some do. I'm not going to say all, but it's quite a few who don't understand what they're a part of. And the reason they don't understand it is because what happens is, once they begin to get in and they begin to learn what we call the ritualistic works, they don't apply the works and understand the key that has been handed to them. I'm going to say this again. Once a person has become a Mason, and I can say Eastern Star too, I can say that, they're handed a key. But the ideal is they don't quite understand how to operate the key. What doors do this key open that you have given to me? Because you've gone through this elaborate ceremonies. Okay, you've gone through it, but yet you don't understand it. You don't understand it. You know, and the reason that you don't understand it is because you are too afraid to apply it. And when you do apply it, you put too much pressure on it. You don't quite understand how to do it, but there's a system in play. And you have to understand how that system works, but you can't be abusive of the system. Some of us who become Masons and Eastern Stars, we abuse the system. But you don't want, but because of your mindset, you don't understand the levels in it, so you abuse it on the lower level. When I say lower level, I'm talking about inner apprentice, fellowcraft, master Mason. Okay, you Eastern Star sister. So this is all you got. So you who don't understand it, you abuse it on a lower level. Let's take, for instance, you call a brother, hey man, I need some gas money. Brother said, okay, come by. I give you 20 on gas. Hey, brother, you know what? My family needs some need. Okay, come by. And they're supplying and meeting your needs. Yet you are taking advantage of that brother because he says, I will do these things. So you take full advantage of that brother, his oath, his obligation to you, his oath to God. You take full advantage of that. And then when he no longer wants to grant you that privilege, you're mad at him. You're mad at her because she no longer wants to grant you that privilege. And this is the thing that gets most of us caught up. So you who are master masons and inter-apprentices and fellow crafts and Eastern Stars, until you're able to use that key properly, you're going to stay there asking your brother for $5, $10. I need gas money. Can you help me out? Can you do this? You're going to stay right there, not understanding that this key has the potential to open other doors if you use the key properly. That is the issue with African American Masons. You don't quite understand how to use the key, and even for its leadership, because of your stupidity and not understanding how to forge a stronger bind in a stronger organization, you are fractured. I'm going to say this again. Black Masonry is fractured because they don't understand how to forge relationship to keep a stronger bond. They don't do it. They don't understand it. That's from, I don't care whether you got 100 members in your Grand Lodge up to 3,000 members. Your Grand Master, if he's not forging relationship with other Masonic bodies, not just Caucasian, I'm specifically speaking with African American Masons. You have a hell of a number. You do. But because you don't understand the structure and how to create relationships and bonds, your structure is fractured. It is fractured. There are more African American Masons in the United States than there are Caucasian Masons. That's true. But you're fractured. And because you don't understand how to actually work together, whether you agree to disagree, you can't do that. So you stay fractured. Now, my Caucasian brothers, and yes, I said Caucasian brothers, their structure is allow me to show you this, and I'm going to give you this key. Now it's up to you to take this key and begin to open them doors with these keys. Now, if you don't quite get it or understand it, then no, you're not going to move forward. You're not going to understand the different levels within the confines of Freemasonry. You're not going to be able to do it. You're not. If you go and look up congressmen, senators, and presidents who are connected to Freemasonry, you are going to be shocked. But you don't have access to that. Not that you don't have access to finding out who they are. You don't have access to them. You don't. They could be your senator in your state or your congressman in your state, but you don't have access to them, although you may be a Freemason. Have you ever asked yourself, why is that? I know I have. And I figured it out for myself. This is the reason why you don't have access. And this is what you have to do in order to get that access. Because let's be honest. If you truly call yourself a Mason and you saying, well, I'm this. I'm not talking about you calling yourself a title to your Grand Lodge. I'm not talking about that, because there's a difference. A lot of people like to call themselves titles to their Grand Lodge. I am Prince Hall. I am Ancient Free. I am Modern Free. So those are all titles to your Grand Lodge. And that's how you identify as a Mason. See, that structure is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But that is a bad structure. That's a bad structure. See, when you have a structure like that, you stay splittered. You stay disconnected. And the leadership, your Grand Master, stays disconnected because he don't see himself as a Grand Master of Masons. He sees himself as a Grand Master of a particular jurisdiction. And that's all he's going to ever be. And that's all he's going to ever claim. Period. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's for small-minded Grand Masters. But for those who understand the position of a Grand Master, a position of being a Mason, those who get it, understand it, and knows how to take that key and open that door and continue that journey. For those of us who don't, we'll be forever saying, hey, I'm John G. Jones. And you're just so happy to be John G. Jones. Oh, I'm modern free. Oh, I'm international. You're just so happy to be that, not understanding is more to it than just that. Oh, I'm PHO. See, that's the different mindset of a African American Mason versus a Caucasian Mason. See, a Caucasian Mason, usually, those who I've come across, they don't necessarily say, oh, I'm mainstream, or I'm part of Grand Logic, whatever. They don't do that. I'm a Mason. And that's the difference. I am a Mason. Now, what does that mean when someone says they are a Mason? Now, there are different aspects of a Mason. But for one who understands, when I say I am a Freemason versus a Mason, one who actually does the carpentry, one who actually does the landmarks and things like that. Cool. But I am a Freemason. So I take those tools of a person who actually knows how to do the work, and I apply them totally different. And when applied differently, you get a different result. See, I can't go out and take a trial, and I say I'm spreading the cement of brotherly love, and I take real cement and I'm putting on some bricks. That's what Masons do. But a Freemason, understanding the symbolism that which been given to him, understand I'm going to take this symbol of a trowel and I'm going to show this brother who I've never met, who I never did, don't know him. But because of our fraternal or initiation rites and passages, I know him to be who he claimed to be by strict trials, due examination, and lawful information, until I found him or them as worthy as I am myself. Once we have understood that, then we have that bond between each other, unlike the average person. That is truly the difference. But you're not going to get that as long as your mind hadn't been elevated. As long as it hadn't been elevated, because you're here and you're like, yeah, let's have a barbecue. Let's do this and let's do that. And that's great. It's great to service your community. It is great to have barbecues. It is great to have galas. It is great to have all of those wonderful things. But what do you do when somebody gives you a key and you're going through a ritualistic ceremony that says you're part of a society that is worldwide? How do you take that key and open that door when you don't have worldwide connections? That is the key. When you don't have worldwide connections but claim you do and haven't used the key to operate or open the doors, then you don't have worldwide connections. You just have a connection. That's all you have. But when you're able to utilize the key and be able to talk to the congressman, the senator, the judge, the lawyer, when you're able to talk to them on such a level to where you're able to say, okay, you know the lingo. If you understand it, you know the lingo. Trust me, it'll open a door. But you're too afraid. And those who are in leadership don't tell you these things because they, nah. If you understood how much money flows through the African American Masonic system, if you understood that as a person who come into Freemasonry, you'll be astonished, you'll be amazed. But because of the fractured African American system of Masonry, it can never do what it's supposed to do. You can never build your own hospitals. You can never build your own nursing homes. You can never do the things that a system such as Mason can do because you have not yet understood what you have at your fingertips. You don't understand it. So when you're talking to an African-American Mason versus one who are part of mainstream, there's totally a difference. There is. And I'm not trying to be like you. I want to be better than you. That's the thing. I'm not trying to be equal with you. I want to be better than you. There's a system that you've showed me how to operate. I want to take that system to a whole nother level and do some other stuff with it. But because of your mindset and you have not yet understood what you're a part of, this is what you're going to get. You're going to always be at that same level with that same tension and not understanding how I'm going to elevate. A lot of people get into Freemasonry, oh, it's going to make you a better man. You're supposed to already be a better man. If the team or the brothers who come or the sisters who come to interview you who are seeking to be part of this society and you don't have a job, you don't have a place to stay, you're not doing anything with your life, then how are you going to contribute to the organization itself? Because to be a Mason, to be an Eastern Star requires these things. It requires you to have a place to stay. It requires you to have some money. It does, because you're going to spend. It requires you to have the job. It requires those things of you to be able to function and to do as you should. But because you don't have those things, but you really want to be part of it, it's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, it really shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. Because the things that Masons are supposed to do can't be done when you're the one who's always taking and not able to participate in the giving. And that's the difference between these two systems. One system is a well-greased, well-oiled system, even though it may have its flaws, and it does, but it's so well-greased, so well connected until it looks like it's a perfect system. Unlike this system over here in the African American diaspora of Freemasonry, it's a good system, can't deny it. But the system is splintered, and because it's splintered, it is not able to do what it can and should do. It's not. And I would say that most, not all, but most who don't understand that, we're gonna forever be in this situation because you don't understand it. And this is why I commend those Masonic Grand Lodges of the Caucasian diaspora, what they're doing versus over here. I commend them because I've seen them. I've seen them at work. So I get it. I understand it. I just wish the same for here. In some cases, here is good. In some cases, I won't deny it, but I want to be able to elevate the system. I don't want it to be the same. I want to be able to take it to a higher level. But when you're not ready to pursue that higher level, it's going to be wherever it's at. This is why I commend my brother Calvin Blumont and AJ Jones. This is why I commend those two brothers who are part of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite. They're just not settling to be, oh, I'm this. No, what they're doing is that they're expanding themselves in such a way, they're making the connections outside of the pure borders of just saying, I'm a this, I'm a that. They're not putting a title on it. What they're saying is, I am a Freemason, and I do have the international and national connections to move as such and to do these things. And when you have that, then and only then are you going to understand Masonry from a bigger point of view instead of a small mind point of view of your barbecues that you're going to have on Saturdays. Plain and simple. It's just what it is. It is just that simple. You're not going to be invited to the table. No, you're not accepted to the table. Because you don't even understand that when you come to the table in a conversation, you don't understand the conversation at the table. So you're not going to be welcome at the table. Plain and simple. So I'm going to tell you a story. This happened in my life. So I was at a Masonic meeting, and in this Masonic meetings, I didn't find out until later who these individuals were. This is a true. This is true. I'm putting this on my family, right? So here I am. I'm sitting in this Masonic meeting, and everybody is like, cool. They open, they doing their thing, and we're talking about just certain things within the Masonic body. And then after the meeting is over, I'm introducing myself. Hello, my name is Brother Tony Hawkins. I'm part of Hosea Lodge number 7, Ancient Free and Accepted Mason, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The brother came back and introduced himself. I am Congressman such and such. I'm over this and that, and I do this. I'm like, that's a key. That's a key. Now, how do you keep that key? How do you take this brother just introduced you to himself as a sitting congressman? Now, how do you take that? How do you take that and say, hey, great, bro, it's a pleasure to meet you. Great meeting. Yeah, so you're Congressman such and such. Yes, I am Congressman. Now you need to be able to build that relationship with that individual, because you're already on the level, the square and the plumb. You already understand it. Now, how do you build a relationship with him? And I'm telling you, that's a key. How do you build that relationship? And a lot of us don't know how to build a relationship. You want to be like, I want to be like Mike. No, I want to be better than. I want to be the exception. I want to be able to elevate. I don't just want to be like. And a lot of us are okay with being like. No, I'm not. I'm not. But see, when you're able to grasp that, it's a whole nother thing. And this is what I like in regards to some of the lessons that I get when I go to my lodge meetings. We talk about removing your emotions out of the way, and let's operate on facts. Remove your emotions out of the way. Let's operate on facts. Let's take these symbolism that has been handed to us that we study and apply them to actual facts. And when you do that, then you're able to move differently than other Masons. If you get that lesson, if you get that teaching. But if all you're going to ever get when you go to your lodge meeting is some back and forth over some nonsense, it's not going to elevate you. It's not going to do that. What I try to do is to impart into another brother the proper instructions and principles of Freemasons. Hear what I just said. As a Mason, I want to instruct and give the new initiate the proper principles of Freemasonry. I never want a person who comes through the doors of my lodge to be in such a disarray regarding Freemasonry. I don't want that for him. I want him to understand Freemasonry. I want him to understand what it is to be and understand those principles. And so when he comes across another person who proclaims to be a Mason, he has the knowledge and ability to be able to discern whether that brother is who he claimed to be. Not just because he says it, not just because he gives you the name of his Grand Lodge, not because she gives her the name of her Grand Chapter, but are they truly who they say they are? Can they apply those principles? Look past this. Look at the person's character. Look at who they are. Can they apply that? But so many times we don't apply that. Oh, he's a white Mason. Oh, he's a black Mason. And that's applicable at times. Let me tell you, that is, I'm not going to even lie to you. At times, that is definitely the way you should look at it. At times, I will not lie to you. But then again, when you get ready to apply Masonry and the principles You can't look at it like that. Hear me again. When you get ready to apply the principles of Masonry, you can't look at it like that. That's an individual thing now, because you said that until you have found him or them, that's individually. It didn't implement your Grand Lodge has found him or them. It says until you, and that's a key. Greetings from ATL. What's going on, Elijah Lodge? Welcome aboard. You know, yes, you have to give him the proper instructions and principles. And when that Mason doesn't have proper instructions and principles, he's going to be wilding out. He's the one that you have to watch. Oh man, they this. Oh man, they that. Oh man, they ain't nothing over there. See, he doesn't understand the principles. He hasn't yet to apply the instructions. See, as a Mason, we are given instructions. We are. In every lessons, there are instructions all the way up. There are instructions given to you. Now, if you don't apply the instructions when you come across a Mason, then they're for naught. They're for naught. And I'm going to say this. There are Masons who understand the principles and can actually apply the principles and move forward. And there are Masons who don't understand the principles and can't apply them and can't move forward. They can't. The places some Masons have gone, I'll probably never go, because I've yet to understand some of the things that has been applied. And that's the God honest truth. And then there are places I've been that some Masons can never go and never will go, because they have yet to understand how to apply those principles. But when you get it and it's been handed to you, then you're free to travel. That's why you're a traveling man. That means you're able to go. You're free to travel. You can go. There's nobody putting any limits on you. And I'm going to say this. I know that there are Grand Lodges that doesn't have amity with each other. I'm talking Caucasian Grand Lodges within the 50 states that make up the Union of the United States. There are mainstream Grand Lodges that doesn't have mutual recognition with each other for whatever that reason may be. But when it comes to the brotherhood in the society, that is all tossed aside. True. I'm going to say this again because some of you have missed it. There are mainstream Grand Lodges that do not have mutual recognition amongst each other as a Grand Lodge. Okay? However, when it comes to the principles, when it comes to understanding what must take place and be done, that is tossed aside. Boop. It's a wrap. Let us get this work in. That's the mindset. Let us get this work in. See, when you're not able to do that, you can't function, because your emotions is too attached to your Grand Lodge. And when your emotions is that attached to your Grand Lodge, you can't accomplish the big picture. That's the difference. On the outside, you may say, them brothers don't get along. Them brothers, they don't have recognition with each other. They don't get along. But you don't know what's happening on the other side. You don't know what's happening on the other side. I'll show you this. I'm going to show you this. But there's also another side. And that's what you miss. That's what you miss. You would say the Grand Lodge of California and the Grand Lodge of, I want to say Georgia and Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But I do know that they don't have mutual recognition unless they've changed it. At one time, they did not have mutual recognition, meaning that the brothers who are part of California Grand Lodge could not visit the Grand Lodge of Georgia. They didn't have recognition with each other. But on the flip side of that, on the flip side, the stuff you don't see that's happening, man, they moving. They are moving, but you don't see it. You're just looking at the surface and not looking at the current under the water. Have you ever been swimming and you can feel the current under the water versus what you actually see on top of the water? That's what happens in Freemasonry, in the system. That's all I want you to see. That's what I want you to know. That's what I want you to understand. That's what's happening in the system. That's why when I talk about white Freemasonry, unlike African-American Masonry, there are structures and power within the system of the network, undergirding the high finances. The finances of mainstream Grand Lodges versus the African-American Grand Lodges is way over here. It's whoosh. And granted, I understand why some of the Prince Hall Grand Lodges wants to be on that level, and it's great. And the reason, I'm gonna tell you, it's great to want to be on that level. I give you props. I have no qualms about it. Here's the mistake that you're making. You don't know how to unify. You don't. You don't know how to unify. If you understood how to unify, then you will be able and have the capability of taking the fractured diaspora of Freemasonry and unifying it in such a way to you will be able to build and to do what is needed for your various communities. That's a fact. And it's not even complicated. It is so easy to do. But because of your mentality, you wouldn't talk to somebody like me. Nah, man, he's John G. Jones. You wouldn't talk to the Grand Master Robert Jackson. Oh, man, he's modern free. You wouldn't talk to a Dre Jones. Oh, he's ancient, free, and accepted. You wouldn't talk to another brother who's part of International. But you don't understand their connections. Because all of us have connections. Let's really put that out there. All of us have connections, but because of our mindset, they can never come together. They can never do this. They're going to always do this. There's no attempt to do this. There's going to always be this. Plain and simple. So you can't build your hospitals. You can't build your nursing home to take care of your widows and orphans. You can't build an infrastructure for your brotherhood because of your inability to understand how to create relationships. You can't do it. No, I don't care about your structure. I'm not worried about your structure. It's the relationship. See, you can unify and not be united. I'm gonna say this again. You can unify and not be united. To unify means that we're on the same page. I understand what you're trying to accomplish. So let's do it together. And then there's the united part. We're one. Nah, we don't have to be one. We can be many and become one. I'm going to say that again. We can be many and become one. But because you don't understand how to unify in a relationship, we're going to be here. We're going to be here. Relationship don't work about the structure. You can unify and not be united. Okay. The craft is the craft. No one person, jurisdiction owned Freemasonry. Absolutely. The craft is the craft. No one person owns it. But the relationships you build within it places people in different positions. Hear me clearly. I said the relationship that you build places people at different positions. Like take for instance, when I was talking about the brothers I met at the lodge and we was talking and the brother introduced me as a congressman. He had the pen on, I'm congressman. I said, great. Now, if I build on the relationship, it can put me in a different position. If I build on the relationship that we are Freemasons, the relationship that we have gone through a ritualistic ceremonies that puts us on the level, square and plumb. Now this brother, this individual who's not in my jurisdiction has the ability to put me in a different position. Now that position that he puts me in, I can tow somebody else along. I can say, okay, I have this connection, and this connection set me here. It put me here in an advantage position. Now, my advantage position that I have, I could take that position and do the same for someone else. That's how it's always been done in the Society of Freemasons. But because we who are African American are splintered and don't understand how to operate it, we're going to be where we're at. Always trying to be like somebody else instead of wanting to be better than. Plain and simple. I want to have better. I don't want to be like. That's already done. I want to be better than. That's the position you should play. I want to be better than. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to play that position. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. And when you're able to find that position, then it's on up from there. See, when you're placed in a position in your lodge, but you don't understand the position you've been placed in, it makes it odd. See that senior warden, that junior warden, when the lodge is closed, that's the guy. When the lodge is closed, that's the position that he's placed in. When the lodge is closed, that is the guy that you call. You don't call your wishful master. You call this junior warden when the lodge is closed, because you got to look at his position. It is not even complicated. But most of us want to call who? The wishful master. And there's nothing wrong with it. But my job, my duty as a brother of the craft is to call the junior warden, because you got to look at his position, what he plays, what is his job, what is his duties, how does that apply to you? And then and only then will we be able to move forward and make masonry better than what it is today. Because those who came before us laid a strong foundation. They truly did. But for us today, the foundation, it has cracks in it. Now we got to find out a way how we're going to seal the cracks. And I say you do it through relationships. I say you do it in such a fashion that when you meet a brother, you don't meet him as a Prince Hall. You don't meet him as a PHO. You meet him as a Mason. And once you meet him as a Mason, now you apply the principles of masonry to the relationship. And once those have been applied, you're either going to find him worthy and well qualified, or you're not. And if that brother doesn't meet the qualifications that you have gathered, then it's okay. I mean, true qualifications. I'm not talking about the false doctrine that, well, we don't have recognition with you. I'm not talking about that bullshit. I'm talking about the true indication that that brother is who he claimed to be. That means that when you call him, he's going to come and see what you need. That type of character of a brother, not the type of character of a person that, yeah, man, I got you. All right, we good. And then when you call upon him, man, man, he's stretching, he's scratching, he's doing all sorts of things. But you come to the club after your meeting, there he is in the club. Man, I thought you would come to me tonight. Man, well, man, y'all ain't, that person. That person, when you got a city hall meeting and it's open to the public, but you don't go and see about your community, your district, your ward, you don't go, and then you mad at the person that you guys have put in as an elected position to do the job. See, the person has a position, just like the senior warden has a position. That elected officer, member of the community, has a dedication to you. He owes you something. But you don't go to the committee meetings at night. You don't go to the ward meetings. You don't go to the city council meeting. So when things happen, you don't have access because you don't know. Oh yeah, did you know his sister Diane, such and such, she's a member of such and such chapter and she's over district such and such. Oh, she is? Yeah, she is. And tonight she's going to be at such and such town hall meeting. I would suggest that you go. But because you don't go, you don't make the connection. Because you don't go, you don't get involved, it's for naught. So when things happen in your area that you live and you want to complain, you have no connection. You have no reason to complain because you're not involved. The same applies to your Masonic lodge. The same applies to your Grand Lodge. The same just applies. I have two brothers. I was in need. I have the contribution, yet one will come to the other and won't make me go to him. Interesting. Truly, who he claimed to be, the character of a brother will come when you need. Bam! Right there. That's a fact. That's a fact. See, that goes back to the order. We always think we should be able to go straight to the Wishful Master or any other leader. The world does not work like that. Neither does the lodge. Neither does the lodge. And the reason being is because most brothers don't understand the position. They're elected, they accept it, but they don't understand the position. See, I'm gonna get ready to go, but I'm gonna tell you this. A lot of individuals who are or who have been Wishful Master, Junior Wardens, and Senior Wardens elected to those positions, I've seen some quit. I'm gonna say this again. I've seen brothers who have been elected to positions quit on other brothers. Man, I'm tired. I'm quitting. Man, we elected you because we believed in you. We understood and knew that you can teach these lessons and that you have the capability of galvanizing them and enlighten brothers. And you're quitting? Oh man, you know they ain't doing right. Who are they and what are they doing that is not right? First of all, it starts with you as a Wishful Master to make sure that things are right in your lodge. Secondly, if it's not right in your lodge, it ain't right in the Grand Lodge. So it's jacked up. But you who have been elected, you have the capacity and the capability of making things right if you want to do it instead of quitting on your lodge. Oh, they ain't, man. The Senior Ward, he ain't gonna make a good Wishful Master. He's not gonna make a good Wishful Master because he doesn't have your support. He doesn't have the support of the Wishful Master in the East because he's jealous of him, because that brother who sits in the West is watching and waiting on his opportunity to show the craft. And maybe they already know that I can teach these lessons, I can apply these lessons and look at my character. But you don't want to mess with him because you and the Wishful Master are have your own plot. I'm just saying. I've seen Wishful Masters quit, Junior Wardens quit, Senior Wardens quit. Oh man, I'm done. I'm going over here. Why are you going over there? Well, I think it's better. Oh, you do? You think it's better? You go over there, you're gonna find the same, maybe even worse. But if you believe that you can make it better here, let's do it. Let's work together. Let's build this brotherhood. Let's make it happen. And it doesn't always have to be big things. It can be small things. You start off small, you work your way up. That's how you do it. Need support of him to teach and build character. Don't quit on him. Absolutely don't. But they do. I had a Wishful Master. So, well, I'm gonna step down as Wishful Master. Is it because of your health? No. Why are you stepping down? Well, man, you know the brothers ain't coming to the meeting. And well, brother, they put you in position to be the Wishful Masters. Oh man, they ain't acting right. You're dealing with grown people. You have to set the pace. You have to set it. If you want brothers to come into your lodge and say, we don't use books in here. Well, you as the Wishful Master, you got to know your shit. You as the worthy mate, you got to know your shit. And when they see you know your stuff, hopefully, prayerfully, it should rub off on them. They say, damn, he know that shit by heart. I got to get up on my game. But if you coming in and every time you come in, you got to crack a book open, what does that look like? I'm just saying. So you have to set the tone. You have to set it. You can't be wishy-washy. You have to remove your emotions out the way when you're dealing with grown folks and deal with the facts of how you're going to continue to be successful, how you're going to continue to grow, how you're going to continue to survive and move forward. Remove your emotions out the way and deal with the facts. What are the facts on the table? And let's move on it. Because as long as the Wishful Master is working on emotions, Senior Warden, Junior Warden, and brothers of the craft, as long as you're operating on emotions, it's not going to do anything for the craft, for the sisterhood. Remove those out the way and look at the facts and deal with that. It's not complicated. And once you're able to deal with that, now let's build the relationship. Once you build the relationship, you build the connections, now you can do more. Plain and simple. So look, I appreciate you hanging in there with me today, and I hope whatever I've shared with you would give you will help you along the way in this thing we call Freemasonry. That's what I want for you. I don't want you quitting on your lodge. I don't want you quitting on your chapter. I want you to understand what you're a part of and understand how to apply those keys that has been handed to you, and now apply pressure on those keys, but gently place the key in the keyhole and turn it. Not struggle with it, but turn it. Open a door, walk in, and begin that journey as a Mason, as an Eastern Star. That's what I want for you. And make those connections while you're inside. And then once you make the connection, apply the connections and watch what happens. But until you're able to do that, you're going to be where you're at, still complaining about what you ain't doing and why you ain't doing it, and that's what you're going to do. But hey, until next time, continue the journey and Godspeed. Whatever you do, keep the light on. Stay out the bushes. I'm out. What's up, Big George? I see you, baby. I see you. Dexter, what's happening to you? Who else is on here? What's going on, Hussein? Hussein, I hope I pronounced that name right. Greeting to you. The brother who has it in Japanese or Chinese writing, greeting to you. What's up, Coach? Philip, what's going on with you? Dexter, I just gave you a shout out. The enlightened one, what's happening with you? And if you watch this later, big shout out to you and your family. Wish you well. Godspeed. Peace and be well.